Hi guys, lesson 6. We're going to do the minor triads. Okay, you've got major chords and minor chords. We're getting on really good. Well, if you've gone over 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and there's a recap on lesson 5, the next step should be quite easy. It's just about constructing minor chords. I'm going to use the keyboard just once again, and that's going to be the end of the keyboard for a while. I'm going to be using the guitar as well. Music theory is universal on every instrument. It's not guitar theory I'm doing or piano theory. It's exactly the same. It's a universal principle. It's just the layout of the instrument is different. That's the only thing that we're dealing with. So you're going to be useful if you're a saxophone player, if you're a Mongolian nose flute player. Well, maybe, I don't know. But anything that's sort of conventional sort of instruments is going to help. Even the banjo. Okay. So here we go. We're going to play. We understand the principle of 2 black notes left off is always a C. 3 black notes left off is always an F. And if we now have to construct a C chord, it's going to be a C. Let's just start on this black note here. Sorry, 2 black notes left, a C. This is a C, E and a G, and you get this sound which is a C chord or a C triad. Okay, and if I do a G1, G, B, D, I'll find F. 3 black notes is F. Remember, I go to that one is G, G, B, D. That's a G chord. Okay, and I can keep going. I can do E, D, F sharp A, and A, C sharp E, and E, G sharp B, and B, D, B, B, D sharp F sharp. B, D sharp, F sharp, 2 sharps, and F, F, A, C. And it's got this what's called a major sound. Okay, this is a full triad. If I play with the octave C, E, G, C, da 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 da, me, ba la 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 la. How many times have you heard that in films? Where the opera singer practices arpeggios. An arpeggio, by the way, is just a highfalutin term from playing the notes of a chord separately. So they're playing them all together, that's a chord. Playing them one note at the end is called, and bringing them back down, or maybe, is called an arpeggio. Okay? Nothing special. Anyway, so I'm playing a C arpeggio, or a C chord, doesn't matter, C, E, G. Now I want to show you how to make a minor chord. And it's just a one subtle difference to make a minor chord, but it makes a huge difference to the sound. For instance, it has a formula called the first, a flat third, which I'm going to talk about, and the fifth. The first and the fifth are exactly the same notes. For a C chord, it's C, E, and G. But what you do is, remember the flat third is 1, 2, 3. It's the third note of the scale. That's where we're getting the term of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3. If you flatten something, you go back a semitone. That's one little note, and now that becomes an E. The E, if I flatten it, if I go down to this way, we call it an E flat. That's an E note. So I'm going to C, E, G. Okay, that's a chord. And if I now move that finger to that flat note, that's the C minor. Wow, what a big difference that makes. That minor, melancholy, somber sound we associate with minor chords. Let's just show this principle again. If I play a G chord in my mitt, G, B, D, and if I find the middle one, the B, which is here, here, and if I flatten it, go one back to there, and that's that middle one, that's B flat, G minor, B flat. So C was C, E flat, G. Okay, when you flatten something, you're going down. That's why we call it. And G minor is G, B flat, D. And if we want now, if I find a D chord, D, F sharp, A, like this. If I flatten that F sharp, one back, it becomes an F note. F sharp, back one note is an F. Okay, hope you're following this. You could always pause and rewind and do this afterwards, and I'd really say write this down and have a look at it, reflect on it, and see if it makes sense at the end. Hopefully it does. A C sharp E is A C sharp E. That's what I'm playing in this my mitt there, and I've got an A and an E. C sharp, this note, if you can just see it, black note. If I flatten that, a C sharp. What do I want, guys? I'm going back one note. It's a C. It's just one note difference. If you've got a keyboard, try it. You don't have to be a keyboard player. So I'm not a keyboard player. I don't class myself as a keyboard player. You can work these things out. And an E chord is E, G sharp, B. And if I flatten the G sharp, one note, it becomes a G. So it's E, G, B. And a B chord has got two sharps, B, D sharp, F sharp. If I flatten the D sharp becomes a D. And finally, FAC. If I flatten the A, it becomes an A flat. Okay? So, in a nutshell, what we got, major chords are the first and the fifth are always the same. You're only flattening the middle third note. We call it a flattened third. And when you're doing that, you're going one semitone back. When you've got what we call these, when they're just E, B's and D's and so forth, they're called natural notes. Any natural note, when you flatten them, becomes a flat. So like an E becomes an E flat, and well, actually I can't. That's not true, because if I do an F and flatten it, it's an E. But generally, G becomes a G flat, an A is a natural note, is an A flat, and so forth. The D becomes a D flat. If you've got a sharp note, like an F sharp, you flatten it, it becomes a natural note, F. So if you've got if that makes sense, a C sharp becomes a C. Are you with me? That is about major and minor triads. If you've kept with the course and you've gone it through in a logical, methodical sequence, and in the recap, that'll make sense. We've done a lot. We've learned about the chromatic scale, the major scale, the major chords, how major chords are built, minor chords are built, and you'll be able to transfer this later on onto the guitar. It's just a little bit more difficult to see on the guitar. It's very easy on the keyboard. Well, easier than the guitar, put it that way. So I'll see you soon, folks.